All right. Welcome to Game Changers with Fabian Lyon. Hope you're having a fabulous Saturday. All right. We have a great guest lined up for you. Yasar Ahmad. He is an expert in the leadership field in corporate. And he's going to be joining us live from the UK. So really excited to have Yasar on. He is in the building. So let's get him up here. All right. Okay, so Yasar will be joining us shortly. Carolyn, great to see you as always. And there he is,
Hey,
Mr.
how's it going?
Yasar.
I hope you can hear me okay.
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear
Perfect.
me?
Yeah, I can hear you perfectly.
All right. Yasar, great to meet you.
It's great to meet you too. Thank you for having me on your show.
Yes, it's indeed an honor, man. You know, we see reels all the time, come by or come through our page, and your energy and passion for employees, you know, in terms of being in that fight, staying aggressive, and just really empowering people that may not know all the dynamics and their rights, man. So once again, thank you for all you do for employees and for coming on our show today.
I don't know what to say. Thank you. That's very nice of you.
Yes.
I do it uh, just to get to the point that the reason I do it is actually because exactly that there are a lot of people who just don't know
Mhm.
how to navigate the workplace. They don't get the advice. And I didn't realize that. And the more I spoke to people, they were like, oh, you should do some videos. And then that's why I do it, because it actually just it helps. And there's nothing in it for me, really.
Mhm. So you saw there was a lack in that because in my experience, a lot of employees, for example, they don't know their rights. Even if they have written a handbook, there are certain nuances to it. And we're going to get into HR. HR is another animal all to itself. But can you talk about your experiences in the HR department for over 15 years and how that has kind of really empowered you to do what you do?
So hopefully I don't get in trouble for this.
Hmm.
Um, saying this out loud. If anybody from work is listening, I'm not talking about work.
Right.
So look, I've been in the industry for a long time. Um, I've seen a lot. I've seen a lot of unfair things, and they've been masked as some sort of policy or bad management is being covered up.
Hmm.
And it got to a point where I had someone very young, mentee of mine. He
Hmm.
asked me, "He's like, yes, but you tell me to do this, and then you also tell me there's these hidden rules. Like, teaches you about the hidden rules?
Hmm.
Where did you learn about all of this?" And he said, and I said to him, "Look, it's just through experience, through learned experience." And he's like, "But it's
Hmm.
not fair.
Hmm.
Why do certain people know about this and other people don't?" And
Hmm.
what I was referring to is this kind of the perception politics that happens in workplaces a lot. It's not
Hmm.
necessarily about people's performance. Sometimes it's just about what people think of you.
Right.
And a lot of the time, people don't understand that, right?
Hmm.
And so I witnessed that so many times. It kind of led me to this point, as I said earlier, where I wanted to create content which was just arming people with natural responses that don't get them in trouble. You know, the
Hmm.
amount of people, you're at work, someone says something funny to you, you
Hmm.
can't act like you're on the streets. You have to act
Right.
like you're at a workplace.
Right.
So as much as you might want to slap that person, you can't, right? So you want to look at them and you want to say something polite to them, but at the same time, you want to stand your
Hmm.
ground.
Hmm.
You want to let them know. And so that was the beginning. And now I'm moving more towards like how to influence, how to sell, how to build a good brand.
Hmm. Hmm. So, yes, sir, how did this make you feel that you are actually empowering folks? You have been in the fire, so to speak. You almost can say you've been on the other side. But how does it make you feel that people are, I'm sure they're sharing with you how you have changed their lives and how they've been able to manage their workplace, manage their emotions, and also make that hard decision sometimes where should I stay or should I go?
You know, I didn't realize how many people experience toxic workplaces until I started doing the reels and started my social media page. And I wasn't a big fan of social media. this has turned me into a fan
Mhm.
because I've been able to help people. I get thousands of messages
Mhm.
every day from different people telling me their problems or if I can help. And unfortunately, I can't help everyone. And I try my
Right.
best to create. I do 2 reels a day, which is already quite a lot. Um, and it just proves to me that actually, there is uh, there is a bit of hope. People are really wanting to learn. They're
Mhm.
not just accepting. And after doing research and just finding out more about the topic and understanding what the different industries are like in
Mhm.
different countries, one of the facts that really scared me was that, almost, I think it's 90% or 89% of people experience toxic workplaces.
Mhm.
And out of that 90%, nearly 72% quit their jobs because of toxic workplaces.
Mhm.
And when you deep dive into those studies a bit more, what you
Mhm.
find is most people just didn't know how to challenge people of authority or didn't know how to deal with a passive aggressive comment. And it's like, okay,
Mhm.
well, that situation could have possibly been avoided if you
Mhm.
had just known what to say, or instead of outbursts, just being calm and collective and just saying, okay, no, because no
Mhm.
is a sentence in itself, and a lot of people don't
Right.
realize that, right? So I think that kind of stuff is something that I'm very passionate about, and I want to help. I've given
Mhm.
myself a goal to help 1 million people.
Mhm.
I don't know by when, but in the next year or two. So I'm going to figure that out.
No doubt. Yes, sir. You're well on your way. And what's really amazing, another thing amazing about your content is nothing like each of your reels are separate onto themselves. They address a specific topic. It's not like an extension of a previous reel. So I'm asking you, in your 15 plus years in HR, were you there taking notes of maybe situations, and how were you able to just put all these different scenarios together?
So I haven't faced all those scenarios.
Mhm.
I think what I do is I sit down and I read the comments, I read every DM, and I'm like, oh, I've never experienced that before.
Mhm.
What would I do in this scenario? And then I write down what I would do. Then I write down what would be the perfect HR response.
Mhm.
Then I would write down what the toxic response would be. And then I kind of find a middle ground where, someone could defend themselves without getting in trouble, which would like legally be accepted globally, because
Mhm.
I don't know who the audience is, right? So I have to make sure that the content is kind of globally accepted to the best part I can,
Mhm.
because some countries and cultures are different.
Right.
And that's how I go through it. And like I came back, I was on a plane on Thursday, and it was a 2-hour journey, and I sat there and I just wrote down 60 problems
Wow.
that and I just sat and talked to the person next to me. I said, hey, what's the worst thing you've experienced at
Mhm.
work? And they just started telling me problems and problems and problems. So I
Right.
was just writing down and thought, okay, well, this is what I would do. This is what I would do. So there is an infinite amount of problems at work. And some are
Mhm.
very nuanced, some are very obvious, like how do you deal with a micromanager? It's very general, very obvious,
Mhm. Mhm.
happens a lot. But
Mhm.
it could be very specific problems.
Mhm.
Those are the ones I really want to try to tackle.
Mhm. No doubt. So, does one situation stand out to you? I'm sure you get a lot of messages from people that have watched your reels. Is there any one that stands out without naming a name, obviously, that really changed their whole focus of their situation at work and they were able to resolve it?
I think there's one example that stands out to me where someone had a really toxic boss who
Mhm.
was micromanaging them, constantly belittling them, and was double, triple checking their work. And I remember the person speaking to me on Instagram DMs and asking me like, "What should I say?" And I at that point I was blank. It's like, okay, what does this person say? They've tried everything I've asked them to try,
Mhm.
and I remember saying to her, look, maybe you need to just be very ruthless in your approach to prioritization at work. And every time he comes back or she comes back with a problem, you kind of re-highlight the priorities
Mhm.
and explain to them that this is their idea. So
Mhm.
flip the script almost. Say, well, you want me to do this. I'm happy to do this. You also wanted me to do X, Y, Z. Would you like me to deprioritize, blah, blah, blah. And so the micromanager slowly fizzled out because this person realized that they were just repeating what they've asked. Just simply saying, okay, so you want me to do that task and that task. I've also got these 3 tasks you asked me from last week, and I've also got these 4 tasks you asked me from yesterday. So should I do all of them by Friday? Given that I've only got like 3 hours left, what would you say I should prioritize? Because you and I both know we can't do that in 3 hours.
Right.
So it's really just kind of really building this script in her head where she just needed to understand that, look, I'd just be relentless in repeating myself. And every time he says, oh, just do it, you say, yeah, I understand you want me to just do it. But going back to the point I made earlier about prioritization, which one would you like to follow? And she said to me, she promised herself that she would just rinse and repeat the same sentence again and again. And she actually told me that she said the same sentence 5 times to her manager. And the manager came back like a week later and actually said to her, hey, do you know what? I think maybe I underestimate all the work I'm giving you. I'm constantly like, I know what I've been doing wrong. She was able to have an honest discussion with him. And he was also very open with her, and he said to her, look, I sometimes feel like you don't listen to me and you don't respect my opinion, and et cetera, et cetera. So I think there's 2 parts to it. One, perception, what you think the other person is thinking of you. And it's also that person probably has a perception as well. You both have goals you want to achieve. So trying to make them think try to make them see you're helping them is a very important part of dealing with boss. And that comes across a lot where people just don't want to do that. They just want to fight.
So Yasar, I'm thinking of the emotions. That's something maybe we don't talk a lot about. Obviously, a lot of workplaces are emotional settings. Work got to get done. Money got to be made. Deadlines are there. Can you talk about, because a constant theme I hear in your reels is the ability to be in control when you respond. Can you maybe talk about the importance of keeping your composure even when you're going through something with your boss, maybe?
Yeah, I think there's a Confucius saying. He says, man has 2 lives, and the second man has 2 lives, and the second one starts when he realizes he only has 1. And the saying's very powerful because what it essentially talks to me about is, why are you getting so stressed about this? Like, you could die, you could have an aneurysm and die tomorrow. Like, why are you really like getting stressed about this? Someone said something to you and you're letting them affect you mentally. Yes, it might affect your work, but you have accepted it. You've opened the door to the feeling or the emotion or to the response. Now, what I always say to myself is, Yasser, there are no civil wars in here. You control what you accept in here. If someone says, hey, Yasser, F you, or whatever, I just kind of smile, okay? Like, what do you want me to do? You want me to get upset? Why do I need to get upset? Who are you? I don't know you. Even if you are my manager comes to me and says, hey, Yasser, you're doing a terrible job. Okay, that's your perspective. Let's go through it. Why do you think I'm doing a terrible job? And just not detaching yourself emotionally from it. And I think that it's very hard to do, especially when you've got bills to pay. When you've been in this environment for a very long time, it's very, very hard to do. And I think the way I deal with it is I meditate a lot. Not everybody can meditate a lot. Like I meditate maybe 30 minutes a day, but I also remind myself the power of now. You know, if I can't meditate, or if I'm in a moment where it's just really heated, just focus on right this second. Yes, so just chill out. Like it's okay, right? And if someone's asked you for something, it's okay. If they ask you for an answer now, you can say, "Let me get back to you." If they say, "No, but I need the answer now," I understand you need the answer now, but I also need space to think. Let me get back to you. But I need the answer right now. Like, this is do or die.
Right.
Okay, I understand. Give me 50 seconds. Give me a minute. I need to, like, I get it.
Okay.
So I think there is that.
That no matter what is going on around you, you have to keep it cool, and if need be, say, I'll get back to you.
Yeah, also just like keeping your peace within yourself. I think
Right.
it's why be emotional? Like if you really
Mm-hmm.
come when it comes down to it, why are we emotional creatures? Because we put so much value in the other person's opinion.
Mm-hmm.
The other person doesn't care about us. You're
Mm-hmm.
not the main character. You're not the main character in their story. They're just saying whatever they say because they can't control their emotions. Doesn't mean you can't control yours.
Mm-hmm.
I always say, like, people get really a lot of comments. Oh, my man, this person said this about me, or this person said that about me. And I'm like, well,
Mm-hmm.
did they say it to you?
Mm-hmm.
No, they didn't say it to you.
Right.
But you care.
Right.
So it's
Mm-hmm.
a very stoic approach, but I'm a bit of a stoic, so.
Okay. All right, so we're hearing Yasar Ahmad. He is a leading expert on workplace and talent management and obviously leadership and HR related duties there. Yasar, I want to ask you, seeing that you are such an acclaimed consultant, do you have like family members and friends just texting you like something pops off at work and they're like, Yasar would know, and your inbox is flooded with, with all kind of complaints during the day? Is that a thing
Yeah.
for you?
Yes and no, because my family know what I will say, which is
Okay.
I always say to them, just take a break, take a step back, and come back to the problem. Always take a
Hmm.
break. I think that's the best advice I can give anybody. Like, step away from whatever problem you have and don't be emotional about it.
Yeah.
But I get a lot of messages from family members. Yeah, I do. But obviously now I get way more from followers.
Sure.
Um, Interestingly enough, I get a lot from other influencers as well. So
Mm.
a lot of influencers message me and saying, "How do you stay calm when you're like well, you always say about being calm and collective, but what does that even mean?" So yeah, it's definitely been an interesting couple of
Hmm.
months.
Yeah. So, yeah, sorry, can you talk about? I think everything is a relationship. Like we think of traditional relationships, our significant others, our family members, obviously our friends. But can you talk about work is a relationship too, and it can be abusive. Can you talk about maybe in that context how work is indeed a relationship?
Yeah, I think you spend most of your time at work.
Hmm.
Most people, right? Your contracted hours may be 40 hours, but you may spend way more, you may spend less, you might do part time. But the point is that you spend a lot of time, your life at work. And so, having a healthy relationship is very important. We sometimes think that we have to work really, really, really hard to be successful and to be protected in our companies.
Hmm.
There's this kind of illusion, and
Hmm.
this is the part I probably get in trouble for. So hopefully not no one's listening. But there is an illusion with workplaces that they care for you and they're there for you and they will protect you. That's not
Hmm.
true. Workplaces, companies are there to earn revenue, and if it's a private company, obviously, if it's a government institution, it's a bit different. But let's talk about private companies at the moment.
Hmm.
Uh, they're there to make money. There is something called shareholder supremacy,
Hmm.
which is all about making money for the shareholder. There's no shareholders, make money for the owners. If they need to, they will drop you tomorrow,
Hmm.
right? So they will replace you, and every single person is replaceable. Like,
Hmm.
there's this illusion that they give you that you feel important, that I do this amazing work, and I say, well, and I look, I've been guilty of this, where I've actually said this to people. Look, I really appreciate your work. There's no one else who can do it, and I know deep down that there probably is maybe one or two people who can do it. And
Hmm.
if this person ever decided to leave, it'd be fine. I'll just shift my goals and I'll just get someone else to do the job, or I'll just hire
Hmm.
someone. So I think this illusion is something we need to get away from
Hmm.
in the 2025. And I think the Gen Zs are figuring this out. That
Hmm.
actually, like, I don't owe you nothing. I'm not married to
Hmm.
you.
Hmm.
This is just a job. I do my part, you do your part, and pay me. I don't owe you nothing more than that.
Right, right.
And I think there's another thing that I think is a bit of a myth. There was a guy called Harvey Coleman.
Hmm.
He released a book. He was a psychologist, American psychologist, workplace psychologist, and he said there is a pie method of promotion.
Hmm.
And so if you want to be successful in your career, there are three things that change your that affect your success. Number one, performance. Number two, image. Number three, exposure. Now the percentages is what's surprising. So number one, performance, your success, only 10% of your success is based on performance.
Wow.
10%. The other 30% is based on what people think of you. And the other 60% is based on if you're in the room, if they talk about you, if you have executive sponsors. This is actually really apparent because I've seen it myself when I've been in promotion committees where, you know, a name comes up and they say, well, I don't know that person. I'm like, hold on, why does it matter? It's just we're talking about a specific case. Yeah. And then another person comes, oh yeah, I know them. I did this work. There's this kind of recency bias. And so that's very dangerous. And a lot of managers don't realize it. And a lot of employees don't realize it. And so that's why a lot of my content is about documenting, because documenting is your biggest protection. And I think if you want to have a relationship, it's not like an actual relationship with your partner. A workplace relationship is you have to protect yourself. You go into work and they protect themselves.
Right.
So you protecting yourself is making sure you hit your goals, you document everything, and that's it.
Right.
And there's obviously ways to be more successful. And of course, I always encourage people to do more and try to be innovative and push further beyond boundaries, go to 150%, whatever. That's not why those are not the people I'm talking to right now. I'm talking to people who are burnt out.
Okay. So I think I heard somebody say HR is not your friend.
Oh my God. Finance is not your friend. Operations is not your friend. Marketing isn't your friend. Why do people think HR is your friend? I'm not your friend. I don't want to be your friend. I want to be your colleague.
It sounds like a setup there, Yasar. You go in there, you pour your heart out. This happened. This person called me this. My boss is this. My manager does this. It sounds like a setup sometimes.
It is a setup. Look, you can't trust. Listen, you can't trust anybody at work, right? You can't trust them in the sense you can rely on them. You don't need to doubt them. But trust is a heavy word. Trust is a very powerful word. So in my books, trust is something I would give to someone unconditionally who I love, I care for. I don't trust my work. I just don't doubt them. And so they're very different things. I personally believe that HR is there to protect the company.
Right.
But also, HR is there to enable employees to be more productive. What that means is HR is there to create an environment that makes you the most productive. Now, sometimes HR does that. Sometimes HR just focuses on what the management wants. And it really depends on the respect top down from the management of what they think of HR. So a lot of the time, what you see is HR being a mouthpiece. And that's why people hate HR. But in other companies where it's a bit more mature, there's a bit more forward thinking. You know, the companies I work for or have worked for more recently, they're very forward thinking, right? HR has its own seat at the table, and we really do focus on productivity, but we're not agony aunts. You know, if there is a real complaint, deal with it. We're not there for the managers,
right?
And we're not there for the employees. We're not there for the leadership. We're there for everyone. And so, you know, I think that's a big fallacy. It's a myth. HR has never been your friend, never will be your friend. If you need to go to them for a problem at work, always make sure that you document everything. Always make sure that you have some sort of legal counsel outside of work. HR will try to, like, think of it this way. Let's say there's a harassment case, right? Or something like that. And bad HR will typically try to discourage you putting a case forward. Good HR will deal with it and dismiss the person. Now, there's a fine line between the two. So what I always advise is, look, just protect yourself. Go make sure you have legal counsel. Make sure you've got some sort of representation outside of work. Make sure you document everything. Go to your HR, explain to them the situation, check with your legal counsel, so you're protected. But I don't say go blindly and trust your HR, and I don't say go blindly and just trust, go and force something. Actually, go and do your own research.
Okay. All right. Some great shares there. Yes, so I want to talk about this hidden rules of work, which you've kind of coined this conversation. Can you get a little bit more into this? A very interesting title.
Yeah, I think there is. there are a lot of hidden rules of work. There are myths, right? There are perception. It goes back to that Henry Coleman point of perception. I think a lot of people don't understand that perception is such a fickle, manipulative thing. You can really change the way people think of you by simple communication. I could ask you, I'm trying to think of some examples here, but, you know, at the workplace, take the example of if you are selling to a customer or you're working with someone outside of your company. That person you're working with has a manager, right? If you can make them look good in front of their manager, they'll be indebted to you. Now, if you take that inside the workplace and your manager has a manager, if you can make your manager look good to his or her manager, they'll be indebted to you. They'll respect you for the most part. Now, what is that? That's brown nosing, essentially, isn't it?
Right. Yeah.
Or is it? I don't know. Like, so the hidden rules of work is like stuff like scorn in private, praise in public. Never really kind of. You never really want to make your boss or your manager look stupid in front of lots of people. Right? Those are obvious because it's emotional hidden rules of work. That's not in no policy. It doesn't say, hey, don't challenge your boss in front of other people. But we all know people are human beings and they're emotional.
Right.
So there is an element here, like just taking some emotional intelligence, bringing that to the workplace and saying, okay, well, look, I'm dealing with policy, procedures, and workplace rules, but I'm also dealing with human beings. And human beings, you can win them over. You can also influence them, and you can also upset them, you can also aggravate them. All these impact you, so why not be best prepared to take advantage of them? And I think people really see it as a negative thing. A lot of people say, oh, you're actually enhancing toxicity, Yasser. You're telling people how to do X, Y, Z. And I say, listen, you know, all the private school kids, they get taught this kind of stuff. I didn't get taught this. I had to learn it the hard way.
Right.
And so this isn't for, this is for the people that typically don't get taught this kind of stuff by their parents or by their schools, or don't mingle in affluent circles where there is an expectation of how to communicate X, Y, Z. You know, this is for the people that are, maybe it's a second language, third language, English, and they're just trying to figure out how to communicate effectively. This is for the women who face misogyny at work, in the workplace, constantly struggling. This is for the men who get judged because they don't look or a certain way, or maybe they're a bit overweight or something like that. There is a lot going on in the world, right? So just giving people a toolbox and saying, hey, look, pick from here and just say this and protect your peace. I think that's a great thing to do, and I'm not going to shy away from it, and I don't care if people say it's toxic. So I call it the hidden rules of work instead.
Okay. So Yasar, give us one thing that maybe you did not know about the dynamics of the workplace prior to really serving over 15 years in HR departments and just, just coming in contact with clients. Maybe something that you just had no idea it was maybe this bad.
Some idea that I didn't know it was this bad. I get, oh God, I can't say half the things I want to say. Okay, so I was in a conference this week, and I asked the people. There was CTOs, CIOs, COOs, C-level management, and they said, any questions? And I stood up and I said, tell me something that employees believe but you know is a lie.
Wow.
Right? And you could see the panel's face. They just kind of froze for a moment. And they gave me some wishy-washy answer that I couldn't even remember. And then at dinner, we were there together, and I said, oh, why didn't you answer that correctly? Because I know and you know what the answer is. And they said, oh, well, like, just, it's not something I wouldn't say this publicly. I said, but why not? Because it's just the system, right? I said, well, what is the system? And he said, well, you just got to understand it. Like there is this, and then he struggled to say the rest of it. And I answered for him. I said, okay, so it sounds like from what you're not saying that leadership typically dictates how the rules of the work are. And if they don't like something, we kind of put some fluffy language around it and make it sound good, and everybody has to just buy it. HR will just buy it, and that's it. And he's like, yeah, well, that's kind of it, but there's more to it. And I said, well, explain to me more to it. He said, well, no, not really, to be honest. If whatever happens at the top and they decide, it's usually top down. There's not much of a democracy. It is still very much of a dictatorship in a lot of companies. And that's the truth. If you're going to work for someone, you've got to expect that you're working for someone. You're not working in some socialist company.
Right.
Unless you are, obviously, if you are working in a social company, different. But I mean, for the most part, you're working with people and you're working for someone. So unless you're an entrepreneur, and there's a lot of entrepreneur influencers who come online and they say, set up your own business and do that. Yeah, that's great. Not everybody can do that. Not everybody can stop what they're doing because they've got bills, they've got stuff to play, so bills to pay, and they've got lives to live, and maybe they're at a certain age, maybe there's a disability, maybe there's family care, mother, father, etc., kids, whatever. So I think that specific audience. I think my advice is very specific to people who just want to get on with work, who just want a day-to-day easy life, want to enjoy their work. So when I realized how much of a facade it was, that was a big shock to me. And I think that the first time I realized was like maybe 2014. So there's a long way of me answering your question.
Yeah, no, that's good. That's good stuff. So I was thinking about the numbers you told us about earlier, Yasar, as far as toxic workplaces. Obviously, that number is surprising, maybe to some. In your experience, has there been a rise in toxicity? And also, what do you think has been the main reason behind this rise?
I think there definitely has been a rise. There was an article I read the other day, I think it was from Harvard Business School, Harvard Business Review, where it said, managers and leaders are being meaner at work. And typically what happens is there's a cycle, and this cycle works in peaks and troughs. When the economy is good, what you'll find is there are more jobs because there's more funding. And so when there's more jobs, there's more competition. When there's more competition, companies need to do more and be more accepting to attract talent. And so during that period of time, you find that there's a lot of D&I initiatives, there's a lot of learning and development initiatives, there's a lot of benefits, work from home, blah, 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 blah. We saw that during COVID, right? Everybody was like, work from home forever, we'll give you this, we'll give you that. And it was because they needed the talent, because the talent was the competition was sky high. As soon as that drops a tiny bit, company return to office. No, it's mandatory. You've got to come back to office. Toxic behaviors start to become more apparent. Micromanagement, people pleasing, all of this starts to kind of amplify. That plus the rise of popularism in the West, especially in politics, it's very divisive. And that divisive nature of politics plays a part in corporate. Because what you have is you look at the people running the country, and if they can run the country being divisive, then surely you can run a company being divisive, right? And that's how a lot of leaders think, unfortunately. And there's a lot of psychology behind this, which isn't very healthy. And so I think there are two parts. There is this kind of toxicity of Jekyll and Hyde toxicity, which is managers who are either really helpful at periods of time or really toxic at periods of time because of the amplified pressures of life, cost of living and everything else. Then you have the toxicity of managers who just genuinely are just taking advantage of the time period we're in and just, whatever, just do the work, back to old school mentality. And then you've got the Gen Zs who are really fighting and saying, well, no, I don't need to be an authority.
Right.
I need to lead from the front, and I want to kind of be this ambidextrous type leader who manages risk and innovation and kind of helps people and is inspiring. So there's this like polarization of leadership, which is happening more so than ever before. So yeah, that's my opinion. I think it's because of that.
Now, as far as leadership, Yasar, can you talk about, it seems like these corporations were putting more money into leadership classes, forums, that kind of thing. And now it seems like it has more moved to maybe go watch this video kind of thing. But can you talk about the state of leadership now, typically in the workplace? Is it better? Is it worse? And you can just speak on, obviously, the training for leadership. Is it as much as it used to be, say,
No,
15 years ago?
no, leadership training is kind of dead. The expectation is that as a leader, you have all the tools at your fingertip. You don't need us to teach you. You can go online and search for a leadership course for free. You've got AI chat GPT to ask it questions. We've got tons of books, self-learning books that you can do. There's more books than ever before, right? We know that because the self-help books are out there, and leadership level, there's more social media profiles. So I think there's this kind of, well, no, leadership is inherent, you just know. But that's not true. Leadership is learned. You learn leadership. And good leadership is one, learned, but also observed through osmosis. So being able to see what good leadership is like. And so in the next couple of years, I'm worried because I think that bad leadership is going to become more prominent because we learn through osmosis. We learn through observing and absorbing. And so the next generation of leaders, if they're observing this toxic behaviors, these polarizations of behaviors, it's only going to amplify it. So to answer your question, yes, leadership courses, all of that kind of development is dying. I've seen it happen in most organizations I've worked in. Don't get me wrong, there's still a portion, but it's not as important. Whereas before there'd be like 30 to 40% of L&D training was on leadership training. Now it's like 5% or something.
So as far as leadership styles, Yasar, it seems once again like a lot of these blueprints of how to lead is passed down from decade to decade. And how many workplaces you think really take the time to vet it and see if it aligns with 2025, for example? And the reason I ask that, it seems like this kind of heavy-handed approach, leadership style, is still prevalent and has not really been modified. That maybe the happy medium is somewhere in between them, instead of this thing that maybe was in effect 30, 40 years ago.
I think that there's two types of leadership. There's the strongman leadership, which is typically the one person rules everything and is the final decision maker. And then there's the network leader. The network leader is someone who understands they work with different departments, they're decentralized, they kind of help people, empower people, make people more autonomous, say to them, you take control, come to me if you need help. I think this is so it's a hard one because it's different in different countries. Right. That's one problem. And then there's the corporates versus techs versus banking and oil and gas. So each industry is totally different. Right? If you ask me who's the most toxic industry, you've got retail and apparel. I see a lot of chefs. I see a lot of reporters. And then you've got other industries as well, like tech is becoming less toxic. It's really hard to give you a solid answer. I can generalize, but then again, it's very much just a generalization. I think, if you ask me what are the traits of a good leader, this is something that I think a lot of people aspire to be like, but they don't actually embody. A good leader doesn't need all the answers. A good leader actually knows that they don't have all the answers, and they don't have this kind of halo effect thought process where they think that they're the best. A good leader just knows that they ask the right questions. So I always say to people, like, you, as a leader, you should have a decision-making process in your mind. Even if you don't know the answer, you ask the right questions. So for me, I have these 3 questions I always ask. So I ask, the first question I ask is this decision going to cost me more time or save me time? The second question I ask myself, is this human-shaped? And what that means is, was it designed to help me improve a situation, a lifestyle experience? Is it ergonomic? You know, you imagine someone says, hey, I've got to design this cup. It's got a big hole in it at the bottom. That doesn't make sense. It's not ergonomic. So in the same way, just really thinking, is it human-centric? And then the third question I ask myself is this a two-way door? Can I reverse my decision and come back? Or is this a permanent decision? And so if I don't know the answer, those are the first 3 questions I ask myself. And then I have a list of other questions. So I think leadership is about understanding how to navigate a problem, not necessarily memorizing everything. And I always say to everybody who joins my team, especially the people who are new, you don't need to remember anything. In fact, don't remember anything. What I just need you to know is where to go to get the answer. That's the one thing I need you to remember, where to go to get the answer. Most of the time it's like, go to this directory, go to this person, go to this place. As long as you know those things. So I think that's the traits of a good leader.
So, yes, sir, what do you say to somebody that is in a workplace now? This is a question I get a whole lot on this show, is that people who have been considering the jump, man, that big jump, they've been in corporate X amount of years, they're tired of the 9 to 5, and they've always dreamt about having their own store, their own shop, becoming a full-time entrepreneur. I'm sure you hear your share of questions in that regard. Can you just speak to them as far as when to make that? Is there an ideal time to make that jump, or there's no ideal time?
There's no idea. There is an ideal time.
Okay.
But it's down to you as a person. So you've got to first assess your risk appetite first. So as a person, are you someone who gets very anxious when you don't have enough money in your bank account? Are you someone who gets extremely nervous when you don't know how to navigate a certain problem? So the first thing you got to do is accept who you are as a person and not try to be someone else. So I'm a nervous person. Like me. I don't do my social media full time.
Right.
I have friends who say, "Why don't you just quit and do this full time? You can make so much money. You can do." It's like, that's not why I'm doing this.
Right.
But yeah, you can help. And then I have followers who say, "You should do this. You should." I'm not going to quit my job. I love my job.
Right.
I love the people I work with. But if I was to ever quit my job, I would probably wait until I've made enough money to cover me for a period of time, and then do the jump. Now, I'm what they call a insecure overachiever. So I will constantly work, and I get a lot of joy from it. I have a lot of obsessive behaviors to like achieving new things. So I'm very competitive like that. But that's for me. So I can log off work and start work again at 7 and finish at 2 in the morning and do that 5 days in a row.
Right.
I do not encourage that to anybody because you can burn out very quickly. But if you're the type of person that can do that, then do it. If you're the person that can't do that, then don't do it. Spend the weekends doing it. If you're the person that sits there and complains about it, but then, watches Netflix for 3 hours in the evenings, those are the people that need to have a reality check and say, well, actually, if you want to do something, and my advice to those people, specifically those people who've got these big ideas but don't know where to start, is very simple. Just one step, one action every single day. For 30, at least for 30 days. So do something every single day. Even if you don't achieve anything, even if you only spend 5 minutes, even if you spend 10 minutes or whatever, and it's pointless exercise, spend 10 minutes doing it, because after a period of time, it compounds and you will start to like be more dedicated. That 5 minutes becomes 15, 20, 30, 40, 50. And I always say to someone, there is a concept called micro-dosing on discipline. This is probably the most important thing I'll say to anybody, and this is probably my golden nugget for this call. This one thing changed my life completely. absolutely. So microdosing of discipline is the superpower of a human being. It's basically this idea that you take a little mundane task, whatever it may be, let's say Duolingo, learning a language, or counting calories, or praying 2 minutes a day, or I don't know, journaling for 5 minutes a day. You take a very small task and you promise yourself that no matter the outcome, you're going to do it every single day. So whether you eat 1,000 calories, whether you eat 5,000 calories, whether you learn something on Duolingo or you don't learn anything at all, whether you journal rubbish and just write lines,
Right.
or whether you write one line, it doesn't matter about the outcome. What matters is the process. So what happens is you get obsessed with the process. The discipline becomes about the process, not the outcome. And we are so in tune with focusing on the outcome, not the process, that actually successful people focus on the process. And so if you can create this discipline to just do these small tasks every day, and obviously we're a TikTok generation, right? Everything's up and down, this short span, 15 seconds. So if we can just spend a tiny bit of our time every single day, it increases this confidence in you as a human being. You start saying to yourself, well, it's been 30 days and I've done 30 days of Duolingo and I haven't broken that streak. I can do, I could probably do 10 minutes a day of this as well. And then you add that. So now another 30 days go past, you've done 60 days of Duolingo and you've done 10 minutes a day of your business plan. Then you add another plan. You say, okay, do you know what? I'm going to make sure that every week I connect with one person, someone I don't know. And you can apply this to the gym, you can apply this to everything. But the point is, we're so used to doing these big plans that actually if you just confine it to a very small task, compound that, and look at things as year plans or 10-year plans or 5-year plans, what you find is these compounding effects are much more healthier for the brain. You don't punish yourself, and you learn a lot about yourself as a person. You start to say, wow, actually, I can do this. And I think it's the best advice. It's changed my life, the way I've approached anything.
It's almost like taking small bites.
It's totally, yeah, but it's the age-old advice, right? One step at a time. But I've just kind of put it in a fancy title as microdosing on discipline.
That's fine, man. Hey, you know, I was thinking while you were talking about some of the misconceptions, false narratives that you've heard. We have all these experts on social media now. Some are legit and some are just spewing some stuff out there. Yes, sir. Is there one or two misconceptions, false narratives that you're like, man, that's not it. That's not it.
My favorite is obviously, well, actually, leadership is an innate ability, right? That's not true at all. Leadership is learned. It's kind of innate and it's not. So to be a leader, to be a manager, it really depends on two things. One is you obviously, as I said, osmosis, so learning through watching, learning through observation. And you can do that as a child, you can do that at school. So basically your environment does help you be a better leader. But if you've not come from that environment, if you've not had that kind of parenting or that kind of school or observation, opportunity to observe, it needs to come through learned experiences. And learned experiences are as simple as me saying, hey, Fabian, can I shadow you in your next leadership meeting for 10 minutes? Can I be a fly on the wall? Can I learn from you? Or asking for a mentor or asking for a sponsor. And so that's a big myth that, leadership is an innate ability. You kind of you just know it. That's not true at all. Most leaders are scarred, battle tested, and have, a lot of leaders get a lot of anxiety. It's a very thankless job. Although sometimes too many people take too much credit, but if you're a servant leader, it's very thankless. What else is a myth? My favorite is, people like to think that they're good at communicating.
Right.
I can tell you now, even I am, we're all terrible at communicating.
Wow.
If you say to yourself, I am terrible at communication, communication is the one thing I will have to develop till my dying breath, you will be extremely successful because most of your success comes down to how you communicate.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're constantly evolving as human beings. We're constantly changing our language trends, the way we perceive, the way we absorb information. So communicating is two parts. One is articulating yourself, and the second part is making sure you're conscious enough and emotionally intelligent enough to question how the other person will receive the information, right? So in a lot of my advice, a lot of my reels, I give scripts. And I know some of my scripts will piss off the other person.
Right.
I know some of my scripts are passive aggressive, but I also know a lot of my, if not all of my scripts, will protect you. They will protect you. They'll put the person in their place, and HR won't be able to say anything to you. You know, just knowing that whatever I say, me talking to you now, am I pausing? Am I umming and ahhing? What is my body language saying? Me looking down here, what is it saying? Am I disinterested? Am I interested? You know, and a lot of people are like, oh, but this, you know, I just want to be myself. No, that's a lie. You can't be yourself at work.
Right.
I'm telling you now, there's no such thing. Come to work as you are.
Right.
If that was the case, I'd be effing and blinding. I can't come onto this call as I am. If I spoke how I normally speak to my friends, you'd probably have to shut it down because of the amount of swearing I do. So the reality is that's a lie. You can't come to work as you are. You have to come to work with a certain etiquette and certain rules, and you have to follow them. And people always say, oh, we welcome you. Everyone's welcome to our table. Yeah, but as long as you play our rules.
Right.
Right? That's the one thing they don't say.
So as far as communication, how we talk to people, Yasar, right? As we know, if we have, even especially when we have children or nieces or nephews, and they all receive things differently. And the same, I would imagine, applies in the workplace, where how you talk to Joe, you probably can't talk to Kathy the same way. Do you think that nuance is recognized in most workplaces? And do you think managers maybe should do a little background as far as their the culture, even the race, or just general things that might help them communicate better with said person?
Absolutely. One of the first things I do when I join a team or I join a company is I write a little 2-pager which says how to work with me. And I say, on emails, I will reply okay. And that will mean yes. I will not reply to you in the evening. I may reply to you on the weekend. That is my prerogative. If you get upset with that, I'm sorry in advance. But that's because I like to put my kids to bed on Friday. I like to take half a day, and I might catch up on Saturday. As a leader, I can do that. You can't do that. You know, I say stuff like, come to me prepared. I will be upset with you if you don't come to me prepared. I tell them honestly how I am as a human.
Right.
I tell them honestly, these are the things I don't like, and these are the things I absolutely love. I hate it. I say one of the things I do really dislike is when people pit each other against each other. If you come to me and complain about someone, have you done anything first? Have you tried to solve the problem first? If you come to me and say, how do I handle this situation? I'd absolutely love that. If you come to me to say, so-and-so did this, I'm going to say, hold on. Especially the people that report into me, most of them are directors, senior directors. So I expect them to be very, you know, in tune with how to navigate a situation. I don't want to handhold them in a argument or a discussion or a dispute. So it's always about solution orientation, right? You focus on the solution, and I think creating a ways of working with me document or having that discussion, start, continue. If you're, let's say you're in retail and you're not really a professional environment and it's just like clock in, clock out, go speak to your manager. Hey, these are look, I just want to have an open discussion with you. And he says, well, I don't have time. No, but look, honestly, I think it'll be better for both of us. Can you just spare me 5 minutes? Okay, fine, 5 minutes, fine. Jumps on a call, jumps in person, whatever. Look, yes, I respect you. I know you got a job to do, but these are the things that I like when someone's managing. These are the things I don't like, and you tend to do these things, and it really riles me up. Is there a reason why you do them? Is there any way we can work on this? Can I help me understand how you manage me, and can I help you understand maybe you can adjust your stuff? Sometimes having an honest conversation works, but then you also have narcissists as well who are crazy and they'll just say, shut the hell up,
Right.
just do your job. So you've got to know the balance between who you're dealing with. And if your manager hasn't provided you with a ways of working document, you can ask them, hey, I was thinking, have you ever thought of having a ways of working document? Would love to see that, because I want to work with you in the best way to make you and the team as successful as possible. Managers are going to hear that and they're going to think, great, this guy gets it. Let me send him what I need, what he needs to work with me successfully. And then what you've got is you've got all the rules that you need to play by.
Okay. So I want to ask you, who has been the greatest manager around you? Is there any one person that really, really influenced your leadership style? Yes, sir. And who, if so, who would that be?
Every leader has a flaw. And I don't think one leader I've come across who I've said, wow, they're an amazing leader. And it sounds very arrogant, but even myself, I have a lot of flaws. So the leadership to me is at the highest standard. I don't think there's anybody alive that I would consider an amazing leader.
Really?
Yeah, I think that's because of just the things I learned about leadership. So I'm a big historian. So the leaders I aspire to be like Marcus Aurelius. This guy had all the power and did not care about applause at all. He was a ruler of thousands or hundreds of thousands, did not care. If you read Marcus Aurelius' Meditations, some amazing stuff in there. You think he literally had all the power in his hands, could do whatever he wants, and here he is thinking about humanity. That's true leadership. The other leader I really like who's very regimented, but also kind of in tune with the way I think, is Master Sun Tzu. There is the book, The Art of War. And he's someone who has said, if you don't need to go to war, don't go to war. If you don't need to kill someone, don't kill someone. If you need to, if you're weak, act strong. And if you're strong, act weak. And a lot of people take that in the military sense. I take that in the humanity sense. Like, I think in a time where everybody is weak and you're the strongest, you can show some humility and you can show some empathy by not coming across super strong and actually empathizing and coming across. So that's how I read it. That's how I interpret it. I didn't interpret it as in the military sense. I interpreted it as a more of a humanity sense. Those are the two really aspiring old leaders. And then more recent, I think you take stories from people like Nelson Mandela, someone played the long game, he really thought about the long game, and he, everything that was against him, and he just stuck by his values, stuck by his, and each leader has his own flaws. We don't know their flaws. So it's easy to fantasize about, oh wow, he was so amazing. But those three people all admittedly accepted that they had flaws. And that's something I really aspire and I'm inspired by.
If you would paint a picture of an ideal leader, just given all that you said this afternoon, Yasar, just a brief summary of an ideal leader, what characteristics would he or she have?
Patience. Patience being the number one, humility being number two, foresight being number three. I think for this year, I'd say foresight being number three, and there's so many. Just trying to think of all the different skills. Obviously, I said communication, but communication goes without saying. I think clarity is wow. That's the one I forgot. So clarity, what a
Mm.
superpower. If you're able to explain to someone something
Mhm.
complicated like a 5-year-old, that's
Right.
amazing. But you know how hard that is sometimes when it's really complicated topics. And so if you're at work, there's nothing worse,
Mm.
absolutely nothing worse than being at work and your manager tells you to do something. You're like, huh?
Mm.
And then you ask him again or she again, and you're still like, what are you talking about? Like, what do you want me to do? And so,
Mhm.
or what is he saying? What is she saying? I don't get it. Like,
Mhm.
there's nothing worse than not coming across very clear. And
Mhm.
I think it's very important.
Mhm. Okay. Before we go, what are your thoughts on delegating? Some might have a problem with delegating duties to others, feeling that they gotta lead. It's a solo mission. Can you just speak on that before we close here, sir?
I think delegation depends. Like, it's sometimes you have to make an executive decision as a leader and just say, look, I'm delegating these tasks to you. I don't care. Like, we need to get this done because it's mission critical.
Mm.
But it's like admin delegation, then you need to stand up for yourself and also say, look, I understand you want me to do this, but you've given me these other priorities. Are you saying this is more important than those priorities? And if so, I'm going to focus on that first and drop the rest.
Mm-hmm.
But I can't do both because I've already planned for the rest of the week. So I think it's about time boxing your work and
Mm-hmm.
explaining when someone adds or delegates work to you that you can do it, but there's only a set amount of time in the day. And
Mm-hmm.
if you want it done in between the time,
Mm-hmm.
then you can flip it by saying, oh, that's really interesting. So you want me to do this and these tasks. I'm
Mm-hmm.
wondering, can you help me with this task instead then? So you
Okay.
flip it around and say, okay, if you want me to take on this task,
Mm-hmm.
can you take on this other task? Because I
Mm-hmm.
can't do both. You've already given
Mm-hmm.
me these. And so the revolving door is is a bit of a technique, and you've got to be really good at doing it. I wouldn't
Mm-hmm.
recommend just people going to their boss and saying, hey, well, take on my other piece of work. That's not going to work. So you have to be really, you have to articulate it very well. But yeah, I'd say that's probably it.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. So, yes, sir, where can we find you on your social media platforms? And if you want to say what services you provide for anybody that might be interested.
Yeah,
Thank you.
sure. Thank you. So my name is Yasar Ahmad. So all you got to do is search for me, YasarAhmad _ on Instagram, and I'm also on TikTok, Threads, YouTube, Facebook. Currently, what I'm offering is obviously social media help, where I provide help. I try to answer questions as much as I can. I have 2 ebooks on toxic workplaces and 100 scripts to use at work,
Mm-hmm.
email, and verbal. I also am opening up a cohort of training, coaching that I've started to do for big groups of people so that I can kind of get this message across, help you with a specific problem. So you just got to reach out to me, just send me a message. I look at all
Okay.
my messages. So
That you do, man. Very diligent with that. Well, Yasar, thank you so much. I'd love to do this again, maybe a couple months down the road on a different topic, man. Thank you for this masterclass that you have presented us, man. Really appreciate it.
thank you for having me. I really appreciate it as
Yeah.
well.
Yes.
Take
Okay.
care.
God bless, man, and take care.
Bye.
We'll see you soon. Okay. Bye-bye.